Today we're going to cover some differences between regular math and equations. Equations is based off of math, but there are some differences when you're writing solutions on some little technical things. So even though the math of your solution might be correct, if you get the technical aspects wrong, your solution may still be incorrect. So we're going to go over some of the differences in writing solutions that regular math has and equations. So a quick reminder is that cubes are used for both operations and numbers and equations. And there are 6 operations, which are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, power, and root. And remember, for power, there are 2 symbols for power that your game might get. It's fine, whichever one you get, either would work. So the first difference between regular math and equations is multiplication. So in regular math, you can use a multiplication symbol, a dot, or parentheses to multiply. And in equations, you can only use the symbol to multiply. So here's an example of what would work in equations. 5 times 3 equals 15. Multiplication symbol is being used. In this one, 5.3, it's multiplication, it's 5 times 3, but the symbol is different. This would not be acceptable in equations because there's no cube that has a dot on it. And then here's an example of parentheses. 5 times 3, there's parentheses, equals 15. That wouldn't work in equations. And then similarly, this wouldn't work either. So the 3 on the bottom here that have x's, these work in regular math, but we can't do it in equations, so be careful. Next one here is division. So in regular math, you can use the division symbol, and then more commonly, you can use a slash for division and fractions. But in equations, you can only use the division symbol. So let's look at this example here. 8 plus 0 in parentheses divided by 1 equals 8. This is correct because the division symbol is being used. In this one, it's parentheses 8 plus 0 divided by 1, but there is a slash being used. This would not be correct because there's no slash in equations. And then this final example has a line similar to what you would see in fractions, and this would also be incorrect because that does not exist in equations. There is no dash like this. So the third difference is exponents. In regular math, exponents can be put as a superscript on the top right corner of a number. So if you see here, this is 2 raised to the 3rd power, which is 2 times 2 times 2. The 3 is in a superscript on the top right corner. It's smaller than the 2, and this equals to 8. So this is regular math, but it's not allowed in equations. In equations, only the power symbol, which there's 2, one of the 2, must be used when you write your exponent. So this would be 2 to the power of 3 equals 8 with the first symbol, and then this is with the other symbol. Both would work. The fourth difference is roots. So in academic games, the index of a root can be directly next to the left of the root. So if you look at this example here, this is 2 root 36. The 2 is the index. It's smaller than the 36, and then the 36 is the radicand. So in this example, it's 2 root 36. In regular math, this would be interpreted differently. If the 2 was large and on the left, if it wasn't like small, like kind of like on a subscript, this would be interpreted differently in math. But in equations, it's just 2 root 36. This is the index in equations. It's the same as the one in the other example. And remember that if you're using a second root, which is a square root, you don't have to put that 2 there. It can be left blank because automatically assumed to be a 2. So let's look at this more closely. So in regular math, if you had a big 4 on the left of the 16, that would be 4 times root 16. But in equations, that would be the 4th root of 16. There would be a 2 there as the index there. And this 4 would be multiplied to the square root of 16. The square root of 16 is 4, and multiplying 4 to that would get 16. But in equations, this is the index itself. This 4 is the index itself. Here, the 4 is just being multiplied to the square root of 16. But in this one, it's the index itself. So this would be equal to 2. And this is for equations. And if you wanted to do this, the thing in regular math where you multiply a number to a square root, or any root for the matter of the fact, you can use the multiplication symbol to do that. You could do 4 times root 16 like that. But in equations, simply putting a large number right directly to the left of the root would classify that number as the index of the root. So be careful. The fifth difference is minus signs. In equations, minus signs cannot be used to make negative numbers. So creating the -3 in this example would not be allowed. You cannot create negative numbers with minus signs. So this would not be allowed. In this one, however, it's the same thing except we're switching the order. In this example here, -3 is being added to 5. But in this example, +3 is being subtracted from 5. This is not a -3 itself. This is being used as a subtraction. The minus sign can only be used as a subtraction. And then in this example here, 2 minus 7 is -5. And then that's equal to 1 minus 6, which is -5. If there's a goal that's been set that's going to a negative number, you can use subtractions to achieve that negative number. But you cannot simply attach a subtraction to a number and say that it's negative. So here's another example that's wrong. 4 minus -9. The -9 is a negative number that's been created with a minus sign. And this wouldn't work due to that fact. But here, we're doing 4 minus 0 subtracting 9. We're subtracting 9 from 0. This isn't -9. So this is different. 4 minus 0 minus 9. 0 minus 9 is -9. And then 4 minus -9, double negatives makes a positive. So it's 4 plus 9, and that's 13. So you can use subtractions very tactfully to get an answer that's negative, but you cannot make a number negative in itself. The final difference between regular math and equations, at least the ones that are very important, are that even indexed roots are interpreted a little bit differently. So let's just look at square root of 25. The square root of 25 wants us to find two numbers that are the exact same that multiply to get the radicand, which is a number in the root. And in this example, that's 25. So we need two numbers that are the same that multiply to get 25. So one is 5. Two 5s multiplied to each other get 25, and they're the same number. However, -5 also works. If you multiply -5 by itself twice, those two negatives cancel out, double negatives cancel out, and we get 25. So there's two possible answers here, 5 and -5. In equations, only the positive answer is the answer in your solutions. So the -5 would not be an answer. Only the positive 5 would. That's why there's only one interpretation of a root. In equations, every time you see a square root of a number, it's always going to be interpreted as the positive one, not the negative. So only the positive roots used. Odd numbered roots only have one answer because there can be no cancellation of the negatives if you have an odd number of that number being multiplied to itself. So here are two questions in this drill. So which of these solutions is correct? And solution meaning equations. We're going to be going by the rules of equations. So you want to make sure that even though if the math comes out correct, you want to make sure that the rules of equations are being followed that we covered in the previous slides. So take some time to do these questions. There's question 1 and question 2. Pause the video if you need time. I'll go over the answers momentarily. So the correct answer for question 1 is B. A here is 2 with a dot multiplication. That's not allowed, so we move on. That's incorrect. B is 2 times. Good, the times symbol is used. 8 divided by 4 in parentheses. Both symbols are correct. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4, so this checks out. Proper symbols are used. For C, we can immediately see that this is wrong because there's a -1 here. There's a negative number that's been made with a minus sign. That's not allowed. And in D here, we see a slash, so that isn't allowed as well. So the answer is B. For question 2, the answer is C. So 2 to the power of 4 is 16, but we're subtracting a negative number, which isn't allowed. There are no negative numbers allowed, so this is wrong. B is 2 times 8, but there's parentheses, and those aren't allowed in equations. C is 2 to the power of 4. Okay, the symbol's correct, so that's 16. Plus the square root of 9, we're taking the positive root of that, which is 3. So 16 plus 3 is 19. That checks out. And D is wrong because, once again, there's parentheses being used in the multiplication. That's not allowed. Thank you for watching this video on the differences between math and equations. This is particularly important to know because even though you might have the math figured out, you want to make sure you're following the rules of the game. Until next time, see you later.